My mother-in-law, her husband, and sister-in-law were getting ready to fly to Hawaii, and they told me, "Only close family is going. And you, fool, stay home." I said nothing and left. And when they returned home, my mother-in-law handed me loan documents for $150,000 taken out in my name. I just laughed and showed my mother-in-law something that made her freeze in horror. But before we begin, I'll ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and enjoy listening. Marina had never considered herself naive, but that morning in suburban Phoenix made her reconsider many things. At the Maricopa County District Attorney's Office, where she had worked as an assistant district attorney for 7 years, people were used to seeing her sharp and determined. Colleagues knew that if a case landed on Marina's desk, the defendants weren't going to sleep easy. At home, however, everything was different. In Michael's 2-story house in Scottsdale, she was treated like a temporary guest who had somehow married the only son. Her mother-in-law, Linda Harrison, had never hidden her dissatisfaction with her son's choice, and when she found out that Marina worked as a prosecutor, she became even more suspicious. "Why does our Mikey need a lawyer?" she would say to her neighbors, not particularly caring whether Marina heard it or not. That February morning, Marina woke up to the sound of conversation in the kitchen. Michael had already left for a business conference in San Francisco, and only the women remained in the house. Herself, her mother-in-law, and sister-in-law Christina. The 27-year-old had never found steady employment, preferring to live off her parents while pursuing what she called influencer opportunities. Marina came downstairs, planning to have a quiet breakfast before heading to the office, but froze at the kitchen doorway when she heard Linda's voice on the phone. "Listen, Tammy, I think it's time to move forward. Mike's in San Francisco. We have time to get everything ready." The unknown Tammy was responding on the other end, but Marina couldn't make out the words. "Yes, I understand everything," Linda continued, "but she doesn't suspect a thing. She works at her DA's office. Thinks she's so smart. You and I are going to show her what's what." Marina carefully moved closer to the door. "The documents are in her safe, I know for sure. Michael told me she keeps everything there. Her passport, social security card, birth certificate, everything. No, Tammy, she won't suspect anything. She'll think it's for some official paperwork." Christina sat at the table at that moment, scrolling through Instagram and clearly eavesdropping on her mother's conversation. "Mom, are you sure this will work?" she asked without looking up from her phone. "Will it work, sweetie? Tammy works at the bank. She knows what she's doing. The main thing is to remove the obstacle, and then everything will fall into place." Marina felt a chill run down her spine. Obstacle? Were they talking about her? But why would her mother-in-law need to remove her? And what did the bank have to do with it? "Okay, Tammy, waiting for your call. And remember, the faster the better. We don't have much time." Linda hung up and turned to her daughter. "Christina, honey, soon everything will change for us. We'll be living completely differently." Marina quietly went upstairs to the bedroom. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought the whole house could hear it. What plans was her mother-in-law making? And why did she need her documents? At work that day, concentration was impossible. Marina mechanically reviewed case files, but her thoughts kept returning to the morning conversation. Remove the obstacle, big plans, a mysterious friend at a bank. Something was very wrong here. During her lunch break, she called her colleague from the Economic Crimes Unit, Sarah Mitchell. "Sarah, tell me something. If someone wanted to take out a loan in another person's name, what documents would they need?" "Marina, are you working on a fraud case?" Sarah sounded surprised. "Usually they need a driver's license or passport, proof of income, sometimes employment verification." "Why? Do you have a lead on identity theft?" "I'm not sure yet, just gathering information." "Got it. Listen, if this is something serious, let me know. I have contacts at most of the major banks in the Phoenix area. We can check any suspicious activity." Marina thanked her friend and sat back thinking, Was Linda planning to take out a loan in her name? But why? Her mother-in-law seemed to have plenty of money, nice house, new Lexus, constantly traveling somewhere. That evening at home, Marina decided to test her suspicions. In the bedroom was a small safe where she kept important documents. Only she knew the combination. But theoretically, it could be cracked or the code could be guessed. The safe was locked, but when Marina opened it, her heart sank. The documents weren't arranged the way she had left them. Her passport, which was usually in a blue folder, was now lying loose on the shelf. Her birth certificate was turned the wrong way. Someone had definitely been going through her documents. Marina went downstairs to the kitchen, where Linda was preparing dinner and Christina was watching reality TV. "Linda, do you happen to know if anyone has been in my safe?" Her mother-in-law didn't even turn around. "What are you talking about? Why would anyone need your documents?" "It's just that everything in the safe has been rearranged. Maybe Michael was looking for something." "Mike's been in San Francisco for 3 days. Did you forget?" Linda said dismissively, "And why would he need your stuff anyway? He has his own papers." Christina looked up from the TV. "Maybe you moved things around yourself and forgot? They say prosecutors get so stressed their memory goes." Marina ignored the sister-in-law's comment and went back upstairs, so nobody knew anything. But the documents had definitely been touched. That was obvious. The next day at work, Marina couldn't focus on her cases. Her thoughts kept returning to Linda's strange behavior and the disturbed documents in her safe. Her instincts, honed by years in the DA's office, told her something was definitely being planned. At lunch, she decided to drive home under the pretense of forgotten files. Parking around the corner, Marina quietly approached the house and saw through the kitchen window that Linda was on the phone again. Taking advantage of her mother-in-law being distracted, Marina went around to the back door and let herself in quietly. In the hallway, she froze when she heard a familiar voice. It must be Tammy on speakerphone. "Yes, everything's going to work out. I've already made copies of the documents. Practiced the signature. She won't notice anything." Marina carefully moved closer to the kitchen. "What do you mean it's risky?" Linda was saying. "She works at the DA's office, but not in the fraud division. And besides, by the time she figures out what happened, we'll have already processed everything and gotten the money." Marina's heart was racing. So her suspicions were confirmed. Linda was planning some kind of fraud using her documents. "Listen, Tammy, is she wealthy?" "I mean, what's her salary?" her mother-in-law asked. "I see. Well, we'll inflate the income on the application. Say she gets bonuses. DAs all take money under the table anyway. Everyone knows that." Marina clenched her fists. Not only was Linda planning to deceive her, but she also thought she was corrupt. "Don't worry so much," Linda was saying. "Worst case scenario, she ends up paying off the loan. Meanwhile, we'll have had a great vacation. We'll buy Christina a new car, maybe even get another rental property." Marina quietly left through the back door. Her head was spinning from what she'd heard. So Linda was planning to take out a loan in her name and then stick her with the payments. And judging by the conversation, the amount would be substantial. The rest of the workday passed in a blur. Marina knew she needed to act quickly before Linda's plan was executed. But how? A direct confrontation without proof would only put Linda on guard. That evening at dinner, her mother-in-law was unusually cheerful. "By the way, Marina, honey," she said with false sweetness, "I need to file some paperwork with the county. Could you lend me your documents for a couple days? Your license and maybe your social security card." Marina tensed internally, but kept her expression neutral. "Why would you need my social security card for county paperwork?" "Well, you know how bureaucratic these government offices are. They want documentation from everyone in the household. Red tape, basically. What kind of paperwork are you filing?" Linda hesitated for just a moment. "Oh, just for property tax exemptions. There are senior discounts I can apply for. Christina and I need to save money too, you know. Marina nodded as if she believed it. I see. The thing is, I actually need my documents at work right now. There's an audit coming up, and everyone has to have their credentials available. Can it wait until next week? Well, I suppose it can, Linda said reluctantly. It's not that urgent. But Marina saw in her eyes that it was very urgent indeed, and that confirmed her suspicions even more. Over the next few days, Marina worked on gathering evidence. She asked Sarah to check if any credit applications had been submitted in her name. Sarah called back 2 days later. Marina, listen, something weird came up. There was a credit inquiry on your file from Wells Fargo, but no actual application has been submitted yet. Just a preliminary soft pull. When was the inquiry made? 3 days ago. Exactly when Linda had started asking for documents. Everything was falling into place. Marina asked Sarah to monitor any loan applications in her name and report them immediately. Meanwhile, she decided to set a trap. That evening, she deliberately left a convincing fake driver's license in the safe, a high-quality replica that looked real but had a different license number. Her real license she locked in a secure drawer at the office. If Linda really planned to steal documents, she would take the fake, and then the fraud would be easy to prove. 2 days later, when checking the safe, Marina discovered the fake license was indeed gone. Now there was no doubt her mother-in-law was planning to forge documents and commit identity theft. The next step was figuring out exactly who was helping Linda at the bank. Marina reached out to an old law school friend who now worked in banking compliance. Listen, I need to find out who has access to loan processing at the Wells Fargo branch on Scottsdale Road. Can you check discreetly? Give me a day. I'll see what I can find out. The next evening, Marina got a call back. Your Tammy is Tamara Wilson, senior loan officer. She's been with Wells Fargo for 15 years, has generally good reviews, but her friend paused. About 3 years ago, there were suspicions she was involved in a mortgage fraud scheme. Nothing was ever proven, and the investigation was dropped for lack of evidence. Interesting. And now she's decided to try again. Looks that way. I checked our fraud alert database. In the last 2 months, she's processed 5 questionable loans, large amounts, inflated income statements, suspicious documentation. But so far everything appeared legitimate on the surface, so the loans were approved. Can you monitor if an application comes through in my name? Absolutely. I'll set up an alert. The moment anything appears, I'll call you immediately. Now Marina could only wait. But the wait wasn't long. 3 days later, Sarah called. Marina, emergency. A loan application for $150,000 was just submitted in your name at Wells Fargo. Tamara Wilson is processing it. The documents look like yours, but I compared them with your actual records. The license number is different. Stall the processing. I'm on my way. Marina drove straight to the bank. On the way, she called her boss at the DA's office and briefly explained the situation. Marina, do what you need to do. We've got your back. If you catch them in the act, this'll be an excellent case for prosecution. At the bank, Marina went directly to the branch manager's office. She showed her DA credentials and explained the situation. The manager went pale. Tamara Wilson? I can't believe it. She's one of our most experienced loan officers. Can you verify right now what application she's currently processing? The manager called Tamara to his office. She walked in confidently, but when she saw Marina standing there, her face changed completely. Ms. Wilson, Marina said calmly, can you explain why you're processing a loan application in my name using forged documents? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie. I have evidence, including recordings of conversations with my mother-in-law, Linda Harrison, discussing the fraud. Tamara sank into a chair. The game was over and she knew it. That same day, Marina filed a criminal complaint. The Phoenix Police Department's Fraud Division immediately opened an investigation for identity theft, forgery, and conspiracy to commit bank fraud. During the search of Linda's house in Scottsdale, investigators found the fake license, copies of Marina's other documents, and text messages between Linda and Tamara discussing the details of their scheme. Linda tried to defend herself, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, that she just wanted to help Marina with some paperwork. But the evidence was overwhelming, especially the audio recording Marina had made when she'd come home through the back door. While the investigation continued, Marina kept working and waiting. Michael returned from San Francisco and was shocked to learn what had happened. "Marina, I swear I didn't know anything." "Mike, your mother tried to stick me with $150,000 in debt. And you didn't know?" "I really didn't. Mom said she had savings for the vacation." Marina didn't believe him. But even if he truly hadn't known about the loan, he knew how his mother treated his wife, and he'd stayed silent, preferring not to get involved in family conflicts. A week before the Hawaii trip, Linda, her husband Robert, and Christina were arrested. Michael wasn't charged yet. There was no evidence of his involvement in the fraud. But Marina had already decided their marriage was over. The day Linda's family was supposed to fly to Hawaii should have been a triumph for her. She had imagined herself lying on a Maui beach, sipping Mai Tais, while her clueless daughter-in-law sat at home, unaware that $150,000 in debt was already being processed in her name. But instead of a beach, Linda ended up in the Maricopa County Jail. And instead of Mai Tais, she got prison food. When they returned from their trip 2 weeks later, the vacation had already been paid for, and the prosecutor allowed them to finish it before formal arrest. Marina was waiting for them at the house with an entire binder of documents. "Hello, dear family," she said, walking into the living room where everyone had gathered. "Did you have a nice vacation?" Linda tensed but tried to maintain composure. "Marina, honey, you're not upset that we went without you, are you? It's just that the trip was already planned. Tickets were bought." "I'm not upset at all," Marina smiled. "In fact, I want to thank you. While you were sunbathing, I had time to investigate some very interesting things." She placed the binder on the coffee table. "For example, I found out about the $150,000 loan you tried to take out in my name." Dead silence filled the room. Robert turned pale. Christina grabbed her mother's hand, and Michael stared at Marina in shock. "Marina, what are you talking about?" he whispered. "I'm talking about the fact that your mother, along with her friend Tamara Wilson, decided to give me a gift, $150,000 in debt, using forged documents and identity theft. But she miscalculated." Marina opened the binder and began laying documents on the table. "Here's a copy of the fake driver's license that was stolen from my safe. Here's the fraudulent loan application with forged signatures. Here are transcripts of text messages between your mother and Wilson discussing the fraud. And here's an arrest warrant for all of you." Linda jumped up from the couch. "You're bluffing. You can't prove anything." "Can't I?" Marina smiled coldly. "I'm an assistant district attorney with 7 years of experience prosecuting fraud. Do you think I don't know how to build a case? Your friend Tamara has already confessed to everything and named you as the mastermind. And the audio recording where you discuss how to remove the obstacle and spend the money is direct evidence of premeditation." Christina started crying. "Mom, what have you done? I didn't want any part of this." "Shut up," Linda hissed. But it was too late to be quiet. Marina continued. "You want to know what's really interesting? While investigating your case, I discovered this isn't your first fraud. In 1998, you were involved in a mortgage fraud scheme in Nevada. You got probation that time. In 2003, you were suspected of insurance fraud in California. And now, identity theft and bank fraud in Arizona. This time you won't get off so easily." She turned to Robert. "And you, Robert, you're an accomplice. You knew about the fraud and helped launder the money. That's 5 to 10 years under federal sentencing guidelines. Then to Christina. And you, Christina, you're an accessory after the fact. You knew where the money was coming from, but stayed quiet. That's 2 to 4 years. I didn't know anything. Christina screamed. Didn't you? Marina pulled out more documents. Here are your Venmo transactions. Last month, your mother sent you $5,000 with a note for keeping quiet. What exactly were you keeping quiet about, I wonder? Michael, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. Marina, let's just calm down. Maybe we can work this out somehow. Work it out. Marina looked at her husband. Mike, your mother tried to saddle me with debt I'd be paying off for years. She called me a fool and excluded me from the family vacation. And you want to work it out. But she's my mother. And I'm your wife. Or I was. Because I'm filing for divorce. Marina gathered the documents from the table. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, federal agents will be here to arrest you. I strongly advise you to confess everything and cooperate with the prosecution. Your sentences will be lighter if you do. If you decide to fight this, I'll personally make sure you get the maximum penalties allowed by law. She walked to the door, but stopped at the threshold. Oh, I almost forgot. This house, the Lexus, all the expensive jewelry, everything was purchased with money from previous fraudulent schemes. It's all going to be seized and forfeited. So you'd better start getting used to the idea of having nothing. Linda tried to say something, but Marina was already gone. The next morning, as promised, FBI agents and local police arrived at the house. Linda, Robert, and Christina were arrested. Michael was released, but remained under investigation as a potential accessory. The trial lasted 3 months. Marina testified as both victim and prosecuting attorney. An unusual arrangement, but one her superiors approved, given the circumstances of the case. The evidence was overwhelming. Audio recordings, forged documents, Tamara's confession naming Linda as the organizer, and a documented history of financial crimes spanning 3 states. The federal judge showed no mercy. Linda Harrison received 12 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit bank fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. Robert Harrison received 10 years for conspiracy and money laundering. Christina received 5 years probation with mandatory community service and restitution payments. Tamara Wilson received 15 years as the primary organizer of the fraudulent loan scheme. The judge enhanced her sentence because she had abused her position of trust at the bank. Michael received 2 years probation for obstruction of justice after it was proven he'd helped his mother delete incriminating text messages. He tried to reconcile with Marina multiple times, but she was adamant. Mike, you chose your mother over your wife. Now live with the consequences of that choice. Marina filed for divorce, and 3 months later it was finalized. She moved out of the Scottsdale house, which was seized by federal marshals, and never looked back. Her career, meanwhile, took off. For exposing a major identity theft and fraud ring. She received a commendation from the Arizona Attorney General and was promoted to Senior Assistant District Attorney. She was offered the chance to head a new task force on financial crimes and identity theft. Her personal life gradually improved as well. 6 months after the divorce, she met David, a federal prosecutor she worked with on the case. He turned out to be exactly what she needed after everything that had happened. Reliable, honest, and understanding. A year later, they got married. The wedding was small and intimate, just close friends and trusted colleagues. No extended family drama, no mother-in-law to call her a fool. Just people who truly loved and respected Marina for who she was. Meanwhile, Linda was serving her sentence in a federal correctional facility in California. Prison changed her dramatically. The proud woman who used to look down on her daughter-in-law now worked in the prison laundry and ate in the commissary with everyone else. Christina, who had received probation, was forced to get a real job for the first time in her life. Pride didn't pay the bills, and the money from her parents had dried up completely. She found work as a barista at Starbucks and discovered that honest work, though challenging, gave her far more satisfaction than living off fraud. Robert also ended up behind bars. The man who had been laundering money and living beyond his means for years finally realized that easy money always leads to hard time. Michael lost everything: his wife, his family, his home. He tried to start over, found work as a sales manager, and rented a small apartment in Tempe. But guilt and shame for what his mother had done, and for his own cowardice in not defending his wife, ate at him constantly. He tried several times to contact Marina, but she never responded. Their story was over, and she had moved on. As for Tamara Wilson, she received the harshest sentence. The judge considered the fact that she had abused her position at a financial institution and had been suspected of similar crimes before. 15 years in federal prison was serious time, and it would effectively end her career and reputation forever. Marina sometimes reflected on everything that had happened. Had she been too harsh? Should she have shown mercy and given them another chance? But every time she considered it, she came to the same conclusion. She had done exactly the right thing. If she had stayed silent, if she had ended up paying that $150,000, Linda would never have stopped. She would have continued using her, taking out more loans, digging the hole deeper and deeper. And more importantly, they would never have respected her. She would have forever been the fool who can be used. No, Marina had no regrets. Justice had been served, though at a high personal cost. The price was a destroyed marriage, broken illusions, and the bitter understanding that the people closest to you can turn out to be your worst enemies. But there had been no other option. When someone tries to rob you, humiliate you, and destroy your financial future, you have to fight back. Otherwise, you'll spend your entire life as a victim of other people's greed and ambition. Now, 2 years after those events, Marina was a successful prosecutor, a happily married woman, and most importantly, someone who knew her own worth and would never allow anyone to use her again. And whenever she remembered her mother-in-law's words, "Only close family is going, and you, fool, stay home," she could only smile. Because that trip to Hawaii ended for Linda Harrison with a federal prison cell, not a beachfront resort. And that was the most just outcome possible. The lesson was clear: those who sow deception reap justice. You can't blame anyone for the consequences of your own actions. Linda had wanted to turn her daughter-in-law into a source of easy money. Instead, she got a prison sentence and complete financial ruin. A harsh lesson, but a fair one. Sometimes life gives us exactly what we deserve. Not what we want, but what we've earned through our choices. And in this story, justice prevailed, even though the path to it was difficult and painful. But that's exactly how justice should be, inevitable and impartial, regardless of family ties and false claims of loyalty. Marina proved that no one should be taken for a fool just because they're patient and kind. Because beneath that kindness can lie an iron will and the determination to fight for what's right until the very end. And those who forget that lesson pay a very steep price indeed. This story reminds us that family isn't always defined by blood. Real family consists of people who respect you, value you, and would never dream of exploiting you for their own gain. And if your blood relatives can't offer you that basic human decency, then it's better to walk away from such a toxic family than to endure ongoing betrayal and abuse. Marina made her choice, and it was absolutely the right one.